love of house, for the love of beats, for the love of dance.
212 with your boy Abdul-Salaam, aka Brother Jibril. I am here right now with our illustrious guest for our 12-year anniversary of exposure. Our special guest today is Detroit's own son, Bruce Bailey, one of the hardest working brothers in this industry, I think. Let's just run over like a quick, Motor City Casino, Detroit Marriott Renaissance, Central Kitchen and Bar, La Casa Cigar Lounge, Bosco Ultra Lounge, Como's Rest. This is all current stuff. TV Lounge. This is this is crazy. It's a laundry list of residencies and weekly events, monthly events that you do. Not to mention this. Just the bullet points here on your career as a whole when we talk about an extended set for the Jackson 5, which has to be something we have to cover in this interview. Headlining LeBron James Super Bowl soiree, featured artist for Aretha Franklin's final tour, performed at the New York City Marathon. I mean, bro, save some for the rest of us. You know what I'm saying? Welcome to the show. Welcome to my interview. And we're looking forward to hosting you in Houston, Texas, here pretty soon. Next weekend, man. It's already next weekend. Crazy. How you doing, man?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Staying busy. In the studio today all day, getting some tracks ready for next week. So drop some new goodies on you guys.
I like it, man. That's the thing about you guys who produce. You can just drop some stuff on us that we ain't never heard, which is awesome. It makes it a great experience.
Makes me sound different. Makes it worthwhile for the people. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, 100%.
New music.
I'm really intrigued. I spent a little bit of time trying to find a few interviews with you, and I found out some really interesting stuff about you, and we'll dive into it a little bit. But why don't we talk about the DJ Bruce Bailey origin story? How did it all start for you? Obviously, it's in Detroit, but how did you come into the music world?
There was a series of backyard parties when we were growing up in high school, and I used to go to them on the weekends, just like every other kid. And one of my guys was spinning, and he played a house record for it was 25 minutes in a row. And the dance floor never deceased. It just kind of plenified with the same song. And once I saw that energy, it was something I had to do. That was my start. I went home. I started buying music, and then I asked my dad to give me some turntables and a mixer. And parents are, they say yes to some things, no to others. So
Right.
like my skateboard and my turntables were a yes immediately. I grew up on the west side of Detroit, in the Russell Woods area, kind of around the block from our famous mayor, Kwame Kilpatrick. And I went to Cass Tech High School, which is the largest high school in the Detroit area. My graduating class was 800 people.
Can you talk a little bit about having a DJ in your lunch period? Was that in high school or middle school?
Actually, we had that in middle school.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they would play records during lunch hour. I mean, it was all vinyl back then, but it wasn't really any mixing, but it was just music just makes everybody happy. And that's what they were trying to do with the kids, just keep us focused on having fun at school.
Right.
I guess that's what you could say. In high school, we didn't really have that, but I had it more so in middle school than high school, which is kind of crazy.
That is crazy. Do you mind if I ask you, were you in because I don't really know much about like where you grew up or even much about Detroit's west side or east side. Can you tell me a little bit about the environment you grew up in?
Yeah, Detroit is set up in, it's splintered off in areas. So you could have an 8 to 12 block area, which is really high end, and then go over 2 blocks, and then it would be, families would be just making ends meet, if you will.
Right.
I was fortunate. My father was a school teacher, and my mom was just a home mom. So she didn't have to work. She just took care of me and my sister, and we were fortunate enough not to be in the death zone, if you will. So
Right.
I didn't get caught up into gangs and all that kind of stuff, which was really famous back here, especially as you see on the BMF show.
Right.
So I grew up in the BMF neighborhood, uh, but I was a couple blocks over, if you will.
How did you get into? So, what was it that was your foray into dance music? How did that happen for you?
My stories kind of started later. I guess the first house song and all that kind of stuff was in the '80s, early '80s. My story didn't start till '93, after college. So my story is different. In Detroit, you think of like Derek May, Kevin Saunderson, Juan Atkins, Eddie Folks, uh, Delano Smith, the kind of DJs who grew up in Detroit in the '80s. So during the '80s, there was massive parties. It was before everybody had their financial security set behind them. They weren't, we were all kids. So, some kids had uh, uh, better lives because of their parents had more will to do. But most everybody was just kind of a normal kid, trying to put two and two together. And then this whole musical era, I guess it's our second musical era because the first musical era was Motown, of course.
Right.
Uh, which my parents and everybody older grew up on. Then the next wave was this house music phenomenon, the hit. And it kind of brought everybody together from all over the tracks who were interested in that type of music and dancing. So I guess to answer your question, my story kind of started after that major '80s heyday kind of died, if you will.
Right.
The last big club, I think it closed in 1990, which was the Music Institute. And then from basically from '90 to 2005, there were really no venues in Detroit. I was the one, but there were venues here and there. People would
Right.
do one-offs,
Like
but nothing on
Motor.
a weekly basis.
Yeah. I think I
So
remember Motor and one other kind of
I
like
think
in the
Motor was after 2000.
yeah around 2000. Um, I like my guest to finish this sentence. I DJ because I really like to kind of understand what it is that motivates you and why you keep doing what you do. So, how would you finish the sentence? I DJ because.
I DJ because the city needs me. The city needs a soulful house home. And that's what I've been providing to Detroit since 1991. You got to have some, to be a big city, you got to have a weeklies, and not weeklies that people start and they're done in 6 months, 8 months, a year. But I'm all about longevity. So I'm on the cusp of my 6,000th party.
Wow,
So that's my journey. I'm trying to get to 6,000 shows, and I'm just a little bit over 50 away.
that's incredible, man. 6,000 shows. I don't even. I mean, I've been doing this for about 20 years. So yeah, no, I don't even come close. That's what I'm saying. Like the more I look at your activity and how much you're playing, I'm pretty much convinced that you're one of the hardest working, if not the hardest working DJ in this business, especially when it comes to soulful house and the genre of house music. So that's incredible, man. Because I've seen you've done parties here in Atlanta, right? And then also have traveled out to as far as like China, doing things. Where was that? In Hong Kong, Beijing? Where were you at?
I did Beijing 3 times, and I did Shanghai once. Um, that's my overseas. Well, see, most of the DJs from Detroit, they either they're retired or they play out of town.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it was different. So I played in town,
Right.
and I took care of my mom for a couple of decades. So I was only able to do stuff at night. So I had to create a business for myself at nighttime, which was DJing. So I would DJ 2, 3, 4, 5 nights a week.
Wow.
And then I built a team of DJs, which gave me an opportunity to DJ multiple times. Like I can do 3 or 4 parties a day. They just want me to come in and play that power hour. Then I'm on to the next spot. I'm bringing my new cats in and my seasoned cats, and that's my thing. That's the way I get to pop around and do so many parties.
Who would you say through your career so far? Who's been the biggest support for you musically?
I got to give kudos to my guy, Tree at TV Lounge, formerly Half Past Three. He's uh, he's been the guy I talk to about business. He's very very influential in the city, and he's helped me open a lot of different doors that I could have opened, but it would have took me a little longer to do that. Um, so I got to give it up to him. I got to give it up to everybody who's trusted me to be their resident. I've been resident at more than 6 locations for over 7 years.
That's
So I got to give
incredible.
it up to each and every one of them. I don't have to name them all, but so to answer the question, Tree Graves.
So, is there a particular time of day or situation where you feel that you could be the most creative whenever you're putting things together? Does it matter, or just you just kind of get yourself in a frame of mind, or what does that look like for you?
For me, it's super early in the morning. So I go to sleep at wee hours of the morning, but I'll still wake up at like 5:36, 7 a.m. for 90 minutes, 2 hours before I take my nap. And that's where I'm the most creative because I do graphic work, um, I do bookings, I look for my music, I get thoughts on the music I'm going to make. Everything happens for me in the morning.
Yeah. I'm the same way. Actually, I used to never be, because I worked in the club business for so long. 10 o'clock was early. 10 a.m. was early for me. And now that I have like a 9 to 5, it took me forever to wake up at 5. But now that's like my MO. I'll wake up at 5 o'clock, and I try and do either I exercise or I do my creative things. So let's go back actually to the business of this, because how do you manage? How are you managing the egos, right, of this business while also maintaining relevance in your market, in your respective market, which is Detroit? How do you manage all of that without just kind of burning yourself out, or like, you know?
Well, here in Detroit, um, there's a lot of egos, but most of the DJs are unemployed. It's ironic. They may get nowadays they can get on social media and voice their opinions, but if you're not getting booked, you're not working. It's just a hobby.
Right.
For me, this is a business. So if I don't if I don't play, I don't eat. This is what I've been doing. This is my 9 to 5. This is my 24/7 since 1999.
Wow.
So I make the ends meet. I make sure that I'm booked, and then I do help probably 15 DJs make some dough on a monthly basis, if not a weekly basis.
Have you organized that into anything? Does it look like a Bruce Bailey Incorporated or something like that, for lack of a better term? Or
Nah, not at all. This is what I do for my family. So
yeah,
it's a business for me first. Everybody else has a 9 to 5. So I'm one in a million, basically. Uh, there's more people that do it, but not on
sure.
the social house scene in Detroit.
I get what you're saying. Totally get what you're saying. I think though it does take a certain work ethic because you get a little bit of fame, you get a little bit of shine, people love you. I mean, actually, I'm a good cautionary tale of that. Where in Houston they wrote a big article about the about the party I was involved in. I was on the cover of the thing, and then I just waited. I just sat and waited for the phone to ring. Instead of like what you talk about was like you were just making things happen for yourself by picking up the phone, making phone calls. This is who I am. This is what I do. And so you're, not only doing the club stuff, but also incorporating the corporate stuff so that you can make your bread, so that you can feed your family and stuff like that. Where do you get that work ethic from? Where do you think that comes from?
I think it's just a good college education at Western Michigan, and you got to have the right attitude. I mean, this isn't for everybody. You got to be a people person. You can't not be a people. You have to be a people person, and you got to be smart, and you got to be hungry, and you have to know how to price yourself. Of course, everybody wants the top dollar,
Yeah.
but you have to know how to price yourself so you can work for a long period of time. If you get that one gig at the money that you want, it may not be the money that they want or the venue wants, and then you're unemployed. So it's a fine line on how to book yourself and the pricing.
What do you think that music has taught you the most about yourself, and in whether it's part of the aspect of the business or as far as like a fan of the music? What do you think it's taught you?
Hey, music has taught me to be humble. And success comes to those who wait or those who grab it. And if you aren't a humble person, if your ego's in front of yourself, then you're not going to make it in this business. So for me, just being humble, always being the same, um, whether it's somebody's backyard party with 12 people or a music festival with 50,000 people, you're going to get Bruce. That's my key. That's my magic.
I mean, Speaker Box is just it's a legendary tune. How did that whole thing come about for you? What was the nexus?
So, Speaker Box was an era for me in my life where I had I had my firm foothold in Detroit, so I'm good here. So I can get whatever gig I needed. Talking to Delano Smith on how to start getting different gigs abroad and nationally, and he was like, "Dude, let's just come to the crib, hit in the studio, let's put some stuff together, and all you gotta do is put out some tracks, and then I'll get some. I'll use my connections to get some gigs outside of Detroit for you." So we sat down 2 or 3 times. I had a drum track I found, and then Charisma's my guy. So I kind of took a little piece out of his category, put it all together, and Delana, we made some magic. Oscar P heard it and immediately wanted to put it on his label. Um, and after that, sky's been the limit. I have like probably hundreds of unreleased stuff that I got that I use to set myself apart differently. I got a number of tracks on Track Source, and I pride myself on all of them have hit like top 5, top 10.
That's beautiful. I'm really looking forward to seeing you out in Houston, man. I know you played Exposure. I think it's once before, right?
I think this is my fifth or sixth time.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
12
Houston.
years. 12 years. I got to imagine you've played with Greg a couple of times. Him and I have been collaborating for the past almost a year now. I think in December will be a year where we've collaborated, and it's been great, man. How do people find out about you? Website, social media, any other avenue that they might be able to reach you?
Yes, at Bruce Bailey DJ on Instagram and Facebook, and then my website, www.djbrucebailey.com. Um, that's it. You can hit me there. My bios, photos of all the great stuff I've done, and you can reach out to me there too.
Got some dope merch too.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. So I think every DJ needs to have merch.
Yeah.
So 9 years ago, no, 9 years ago, I really started doing it hard. Then 7 years ago, I got my own brick and mortar. So I've been running brick and mortar right in the heart of downtown Detroit for 7 years. And, that's been very good for the Bailey family.
So you have an actual bricks and mortar store as well.
Yes,
Where is that located?
it's right in between Comerica Park and Ford Field, where the pro sporting things are. So it's inside of the Music Hall, which is one of the historic venues here in Detroit. So I'm right in the heart of the theater district, stadium district, uh, the high rent district, if you will.
Nice. Oh, you know what I meant to ask you? Are you still an avid bowler?
Oh yeah, yeah. Can't wait to get out there tomorrow. But yeah, I started bowling when I was young, man. I won all these gold medals in my teens, and I kind of got away from it when I went to school,
Hmm.
and DJing kind of took over. But I still find myself out there bowling weekly now. I got like 15 300s, so I'm serious about the game.
Are you a smack talker?
Nah, nah, but nobody's gonna talk smack to me though.
I am not a good golfer, but that's the only other thing that I do. I used to be in the martial arts industry. I worked in the MMA industry for about 10 years, and then I just got fat. Became a fat DJ. Uh, no, but I like to get out there and play golf, man. It's a really high skill sport that takes a long time to get decent at, and nobody's ever good at it. At least they never feel like they're good at it.
It's like bowling. It's a humbling game. Once you think
Yeah,
you got to figure it out, the laws of average will bring you right back down and let you know you better get out there and do some practice.
I think it's just like you said. Like it's important to maintain humility, and the game of golf definitely makes me humble, whether I like it or not.
No doubt, no doubt, no doubt. So Atlanta, you in Atlanta now?
Yeah, I've been in Atlanta for about 6 years. I've been DJing here for probably a year and some change, almost 2 years now. Um, I've got a tiny little gig in Buteco, a little bar in over by Grant Park, which is where they have House in the Park, and
Okay, okay.
kind of pushing a the not only the soulful side but the jazzy side of house music. I do a little
Very cool.
Sunday kind of. It's a Sunday gathering that I call Soul Shine, and it's just about playing stuff that's not going to beat your ears up. I want people to wind down, so to speak, after the weekend, and so that's like that's the voice that I feel like I have here. But you know, it's just like I've heard you talk about relevance and just trying to kind of create the crowd so that I have that relevance in that in that niche in house music, because there's a lot of amazing, talented DJs here doing soulful house music. You know, you've got your Yusefs, you got the guys from Sweat. I mean, I could go. I can't list them all because then I would miss somebody, and then I feel bad. You know, but a lot of these guys that I patronize their shows. Even Stan Zeff and I have become really, really close friends. You know, with the Afro house scene, and it's just great, man. I mean, there's so much talent here that, you know, I'm just trying to find my little bitty wedge somewhere in there, you know.
I love Atlanta, and I do my Let's Get Wet mansion party down there every year. So I've been doing it about 7 years now. Um, so, you know, a lot of those cats play for me out there. I play with them in different cities or whatever. But I really love the scope down there in Atlanta. I would like to do more down there. I did a bunch of one-offs with Rick Wilhite down there, but the mansion party and that's in the
That
suburbs.
party is lit.
I built that from scratch.
Yeah. How did that happen? How did that whole thing come about for you?
One of my good friends from high school, he lives down there, and he's got this giant mansion, but he doesn't have anybody coming over. So he was like, "Well, let's do something for my birthday." And I'm like, "You really want to do this? Because I'm going to bring people from all over. You know,
Right.
you got a nice spot. People going to want to come down. People love to go to Atlanta anyway. You know, so you already know because you're down there."
Yeah, it's crazy. House in the Park, the whole ATL Weekender. I've been involved with that 2 years in a row, and it's nuts, man. It's amazing.
I haven't been able to get, you know, it's Labor Day weekend, so
Right.
I
You got to
can't
make your
really.
money.
They keep. I was supposed to be there this year. I had cleared the weekend, but it's just so hard to get down there on that weekend. I wish it was any other weekend. I would be there every year.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, you got to.
I guess I get my little piece of Atlanta for Let's Get Wet. That's all right.
Yeah. Yeah, it's something else. What I really love about Detroit, and I still have yet to go to Detroit. I need to go out there for like for y'all's big Detroit movement.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing about place like Detroit, New York, Chicago, is that there's a scene in house music you don't see, and it's been really tough for us to build in Houston because we're piecing together a bunch of people from different parts of that scene, and everybody's very particular, right? Like if you're gonna represent Chicago, you got to play Chicago's way, or Detroit, or New York, and so on and so forth. So it has been a challenge building that in Houston, but the urban alternative dance music scene where, you know, you're seeing mainly black and Hispanic people at those events. This is only like, besides those places that I spoke of, Atlanta has been like just amazing in that, like just being involved and being around our people, you know, and it's been really special to be a part of that. And it's not that white people aren't invited to that or anything. It's just, but it is special when this is our music. It's created by people of color, that we're still supporting that, right? Beyond just like hip hop, you know, where we're supporting another urban alternative style of music, which is house music. And that's what I love about the city, man. And the same goes with Houston, as we're really trying to bring those elements together. And it's just like every other city, right? Like we all have our differences. We all have our differences of opinion, what is going to be proper or whatever. But we still seem to kind of piece it together. And I think you're going to really like the venue as well.
I'm excited about it. You know, I got at least a dozen people coming out with me. That's one thing I like to do when I travel to play. I like to bring a couple dozen people with me.
You're bringing entourage.
Just people too, just people, lovers of music and lovers of me. But hey, this is what we do. This is what we do in the industry. So I got a crew. I can't wait. We're gonna party up. One of my girls got a birthday party. It's her birthday weekend rather. So we're kind of gravitating to that. And I did hear though there's gonna be like very, very, very warm, which is cool. Which is cool.
Yeah, Houston is it's a warm city. It's very
Was
warm.
inside outside at the spot?
We do have some outside, but it's not really like a conventional patio area or anything like that. But you can always go in and out. It's
Okay.
it's a big venue with a ton of headspace. So it's just it looks a lot bigger than it is, but it feels really nice the way we have because the place is kind of like an art installation, or not really an art installation, I would say, more of like a gallery that's
Mhm.
been turned into a dance music venue. So I believe it's an art installation first, and then we've come in to kind of bring this kind of this vibe, and so and I think this is going to be their grand opening weekend as well because we've done like 2 or 3 now there, and it's been awesome. The reception has been really really nice. It's a very good, a very diverse crowd. I think you're going to enjoy that as well, and people are people are starting to become educated as well, so they know what you're doing, right? You probably played a bunch of gigs where you're like, man, I'm doing this killer blend, and people are just like they're clueless, right? They're still
Yeah.
bopping around, drinking, and kind of talking with each other. But our crowd is starting to get a lot more educated. Like, oh, I hear what you're doing. They'll point at you and they'll be like, oh, I hear it. So it's fun. That's my main motivation with playing music is that I always felt that music was a way for me to communicate with people. And so when you have an educated crowd or a crowd that is sophisticated enough to understand what you're doing, that's that's how I get high. You know what I'm saying? Like
I
that's
love it.
just yeah. So I'm
I
looking
love it.
forward to sharing that vibe with you, my man, and we'll get together. Hopefully, we get a chance to break some bread or something like that when you come in. But yeah, we're looking forward to it, man.
All right, all right. Thank you, Greg. Thank you, Nimbus. Thank you. I appreciate y'all, man. I'm ready.
Yeah, brother.
I'm
Well,
ready.
any other final shout outs before we go?
Yeah, shout out to my store. Anybody looking or peeping this, www.detpeople.com. That's where you get the hot gear from Detroit. We got gear, not only Detroit gear, but we got some stuff for everybody.
Dope. All right, brother. We'll see you then.
Peace.
Peace.
For the love of house.